Hello again, I'm back and we're going to take a look at CMYK file conversion and saving to a PDF. So a number of times when you're working on a document, and this is an ad that I completed last week in RGB, and we wanted to convert it over to CMYK and then have it printed. And print shops like to deal with PDF files. They really don't want your Photoshop files turned into them with all their layers, and even if you flatten them, they really would prefer a PDF. So let's just take a look at the process here. I've got an RGB file and all my layers, and what I want to do first is duplicate it. So I'm going to go to Image, Duplicate, and I'm going to change the name. I could leave it Copy, but I'm actually just going to call it CMYK. Even though it will tell me that once I convert it, it'll give me a heads up that that's the type of file that I want to have. So now I've got two images, RGB and CMYK, and I like to look at these side by side. So what I'm going to go to take a look at is Window, Arrange, 2-up vertical. And then I can see both of these side by side now. And even though this says CMYK, remember we still haven't converted it yet. So to do that, I'm going to go to Edit, Convert to Profile, and I'm going to choose off the list, if it's not already there, right below Working RGB is Working CMYK. So go ahead and select that and just say OK. And notice what happens, it automatically flattens the image for you. This is something you don't want to do to your PSD file or Photoshop file, is just have it open and then not duplicate it, convert the file, and then you've got a flattened PSD. You just have to remember to save that with a different name, otherwise you will overwrite your original. And so by duplicating it, you spare yourself that issue of overwriting your files, as well as gives you automatically a second file to work with in a different color profile. So now it's converted it. Notice at the top it does say CMYK up here, an 8-bit CMYK, just like we had an 8-bit RGB file before. And notice the layers of my Photoshop file are still there from the RGB, and in my CMYK it's flattened. So the last step is to save this file. And we want to save as a Photoshop PDF. So we're going to go down here right underneath Photoshop, the format, you want to scroll down to Photoshop PDF. You can make this a copy, but I just like to use the same name that I had on the file before. And notice that's another reason why I put the word CMYK in there, just so it would remind me that this is a CMYK file when I go to save it. All right, so I'm going to go to save that file, and it's all ready to go. And it walks you through their dialog boxes. A lot of times I will move it up to Acrobat 7. Typically I think it defaults at 5. If people have updated their Acrobat, they're 9, 10, or even 11 by now. So I'm going to save this as a PDF, and then it asks me if I want to preserve the capabilities, and I just say yes. So there we go. Now we have our old RGB originally and our new CMYK. You can see there wasn't a huge color shift. A lot of times there might be a color shift, especially when you're going from RGB, which is pixel based, and you're looking at colors on a screen, versus CMYK, which is dot based and coming out of a printer. It's going to tend to be a little darker. All right, that's it for now, and thanks for listening.